Hey, you looking for a fantasy football mock draft video where we actually do a little bit of player analysis as we're making picks? Well, that's what you come to. Hit that like button, because it's time to do a little mock draft headliner style. What's going on, Headliner Nation? Jake, Fantasy Headliners. Hopefully you guys are all doing well out there. Welcome back to the Draft.com studios, where today we're mock drafting on where? Yep, you guessed it, Draft.com. Now, maybe you're already a member of Draft.com. Maybe you're still skeptical and don't know if that's something you want to do. Don't worry. This video is absolutely packed full of a ton of information, player analysis, ADP breakdowns, my thoughts on certain players and where they're going. Information for everybody. But if you have not checked out Draft.com yet, now is the perfect time. Head over to Draft.com, sign up for a new account, make a $10 deposit with our promo code HEADLINERS, HEADLINERS. If you do that, Draft will then turn around, send you a free $3 ticket for an entry into a contest. But then I'm going to make it a little bit better for you. Email me your new draft username to thefantasyheadliners@gmail.com, and I will give you $10 off of our 2019 Fantasy Football Draft Guide, which is almost 500 pages of straight fantasy football fire that you do not want to miss out on. It's a great deal, basically giving it to you risk-free. Plus, you get the draft guide in there for only $10 if you sign up on Draft. That's a lot of value, and you can actually turn around and use some of it. I may put a couple clips of it here in this mock draft, so make sure you watch all the way through. Tons of great information, and we go deep into this 12-team half-point PPR mock draft right now. All right, here we go. We're in the draft room. As you can see, your boy here on the clock with the 1.1. This draft filled up pretty quick. Invited everybody out there. If you're not following me on Draft, follow me on Draft. It's TFH Jake is my name. You do not want to miss when I send out these invites. So I'm on the clock first. Right now, obviously, we get our choice of who do we want. Saquon, Christian McCaffrey, Kamara, Zeke. Now, Zeke is my overall number one, but with the issues going on right now, it's got me a little bit worried. So what am I going to do? I'm going to switch it up just a little bit. I'm going to go with who I have number two right now. It's Christian McCaffrey. I mean, yes, there's been reports coming out saying, hey, we may limit his snaps, but they're not going to limit his workload. He's still going to get a lot of opportunity. This is half-point PPR, so we get, close to that upside of almost 100 receptions, goal line carries, not a whole lot of competition. I do like Alvin Kamara. I'm a little bit worried that I think Latavius Murray steals things at times, but, it is what it is. You see Zeke coming off the board, number two. Going to try to hit on as many of these picks as I possibly can. Now, obviously, like I said, Zeke, he's my running back one right now. I have a lot of Zeke shares right now in draft, so I'm going to try to diversify just a little bit. Zeke, do I think he reports? Yes, I think he does. I think he comes in and plays at some point this season. I cannot see him missing 2 whole years. If he doesn't report this year, he's not eligible for free agency next year, and he'd have to end up missing 2 seasons. I don't see that happening. You see Saquon coming off third, Kamara fourth. That's going to happen in every draft, almost of every fantasy football league. Those 4 will come off in some shape or form. Number 5, David Johnson, somebody who's really moved up the ranks a lot. I do love the upside of David Johnson. I have my reserves a little bit. I'm not going to go out there and think he's just going to automatically kill it. But I am a heavy running back early guy, and he is a great option. DeAndre Hopkins at 6 and Adams at 7. Those guys are typically back-to-back. I have Adams a little bit higher just for the amount of touchdown upside, but both, 1A, 1B. Let's see, Travis Kelce coming off next. Kelce goes in the first rounds of best ball drafts a lot. That's not going to happen in your normal redraft league, but and here you're really looking for that position scarcity. You want to kind of corner that market of that position to make sure that you have the top performer in that position on a weekly basis. Travis Kelce gives you that upside. That's why he goes a lot earlier in drafts like this. Still elite talent, my number one tight end also. Le'Veon Bell, 9th overall. Not a big fan. I like Le'Veon Bell this year, but I'm not interested in drafting him. His schedule is crazy hard. Yes, their offensive line got a little bit better with the addition of Khalil Hill here this week, but yeah, I'm not all on board the Le'Veon Bell hype train, especially drafting him in the first. Julio Jones, I like at 10. He's my wide receiver 3 for the year. Big year coming for Julio Jones. He's not playing in the preseason, but don't worry, that's a good thing. The last thing you want is your stud wide receiver to get hurt in the preseason, because that sucks. Todd Gurley finally making it back to the first round here and at the 11th pick. Could be a little bit early. A lot of people still worried, but I do think that Todd Gurley is going to be somewhere near that 80% mark. And 80% Todd Gurley is still a high-end running back in the NFL. 12, you got Michael Thomas going to Omega Man. Michael Thomas just got paid, y'all. I mean, he got some big money. And do I think he's going to come out and just fall off because he got paid? No, I don't think so. He's not that type of guy. He's going to have another great season. And he followed it up with Odell Beckham. So a 1-2 pairing of Michael Thomas and Odell Beckham in a half-point PPR league. I don't hate it. I'm a little worried about running backs, but I don't hate it. James Conner coming off at the second. Like James Conner, I do think Jalen Samuels is involved there, but I don't think it's enough to where Conner isn't still a running back one. Tyreek Hill, beginning of the second, kind of where we're going to see him fall. He's still an elite wide receiver. Whether you like the guy, you hate the guy, that's not what we're here to debate. Fantasy football-wise, the guy's going to score some points. Again, I'm not too concerned about the quad bruise. He's got plenty of time to get healed before the season starts with that. Man, if I keep it up at this pace, I'm not going to have a voice by the third or fourth round. Joe Mixon coming off at the 2.4. I'm worried a little bit about Joe Mixon, injuries to the offensive line, not so much his talent. Juju at 2.5. Juju looks great in camp. I mean, I think he's really going out there and doing the best he can to solidify himself as a true number one and kind of make people forget about AB. Do I think he hits that AB level? That's a little bit high. Not going to put that pressure on him, but still a great season. Nick Chubb, hashtag gimme Chubb, all about that Chubb life. Then going Damian Williams. Damian Williams, I'm a little bit worried about. The hamstring injury, does it linger? Does it continue into the season? That's something we got to pay attention to because I'm just a little bit worried about it. Dalvin Cook, love Dalvin Cook, especially here at the end of the second. I think he's got top 10, top 12 potential at the position. I know a lot of people hate it because he can't stay, healthy, but it's the running back position. Every year we're going to lose somebody to running back, somebody to injury at the running back position. It is what it is. Don't hate on it. If he's there at the end of the second round, it's great value. Mike Evans, love that passing offense. Why? Because they have no running game in Tampa Bay, so they're going to throw the ball 3 times shy of a buttload every single week. You got Marlon Mack there coming off the board. I mean, right now, looking at what we have coming up, Antonio Brown, Melvin Gordon, George Kittle, T.Y. Hilton, Aaron Jones, Zach Ertz. There's some decent options here, and we're going to get back-to-back picks. So let's see what happens here. Let's see what falls to us. All right, so we got Antonio Brown. Nah, worried about the foot injury. Melvin Gordon, not yet. Nope, no thank you. George Kittle, decent. T.Y. Hilton, solid. Aaron Jones, Zach Ertz. I'm going to go with Zach Ertz here. Like we talked about, it's a little bit different, right? It's a little bit different for best ball. Would I normally take a tight end here? No, probably not. But it's definitely going to be something where I kind of have that positional, edge on a weekly basis. And I'm going to follow that up. And I'm going to do something that I normally else would not do. I'm going to take Patrick Mahomes in the third. I don't ever take early quarterbacks in redraft leagues. You guys have heard me say that a long time. But right now, I have Christian McCaffrey, Zach Ertz, and Patrick Mahomes. 3 elite options at 3 separate positions. On a weekly basis, it's going to set me up to really have not only just a balanced lineup, but an offense that's capable of putting up some pretty big numbers. Now, remember, this is best ball. This is not redraft. If this was redraft, I would not be taking Zach Ertz in the second and Patrick Mahomes in the third. Right now, if this isn't your cup of tea, if you're not huge on the best ball, I recommend you try it. I mean, it's a lot of fun. I mean, you basically get to come out here. You can call it a mock draft if you want to, but there's actually money on the line. You only pay $1 to get into the league. You get to compete against me and the other members here at Fantasy Headliners, and you have a chance to win a few bucks at the end of the year. Heck, you could get entered into a ton of leagues, no roster management, no trades, no waiver wires, no setting rosters on a weekly basis. It's just a lot of fun. I mean, it's a lot of easy fun, too. And at the end of the year, you may be pleasantly surprised, win a few bucks, pay for the whole season, and you're not out anything. So make sure if you haven't tried draft.com, head over there. Make sure you use our promo code Headliners. Sign up for a new account. They're going to give you $3 for free. And like I mentioned in the opening, if you're watching this video and you want to get a little bit of an edge during your fantasy football season, during this video, I'm offering $10 off of our draft guide. If you sign up for a new draft account, if you're not a member of draft, go sign up for a new account. They're going to give you $3 if you deposit $10. and then I'm going to go ahead and take $10 off the price of our draft guide. All you got to do, sign up for draft, make that deposit, send me an email to thefantasyheadliners@gmail.com. And once I get your username for draft that you signed up with, I'll reply with a promo code to get you $10 off the draft guide. It's a great deal, something you don't want to miss out on. Last few picks, got T.Y. Hilton, Antonio Brown, Aaron Jones. A little worried about Aaron Jones, too. Hopefully he can actually make it out to practice here at some point. Keenan Allen, love Keenan Allen. Super solid in the third. Devontae Freeman. A lot of people still hating on Freeman because of the injury past. At this value, at 3.8 for a former number 1 overall running back, I'll take it. Amari Cooper, big year coming for Cooper, I think. Melvin Gordon falls all the way to the end of the third. People are nervous. Here is my take on Melvin Gordon. I'm not off Melvin Gordon yet. However, it depends when your draft is. If you're on the clock during your draft in the first round and Melvin Gordon has not reported, total fade, no thanks, not even going to even think about it. Now, don't write him off before that, though, because what happens if the guy signs second, third, fourth week of the preseason and then your draft is still there? As long as Melvin Gordon is signed to a team, he is going to be a first-round pick. But if he's sitting at the time of your draft, whenever that is, just pass. Don't even risk it. It's not worth it. You don't want to have what happened to the Le'Veon Bell owners last year happen this year with you guys. That's my advice with Melvin Gordon. I'm sure we'll hit up a few guys here in a little bit. I know a lot of people ask about Austin Eckler or Justin Jackson. I really don't think Eckler gets a huge bump in volume. I mean, I think his efficiency went way down last season. We saw that when Gordon went out with an injury that, he needs to stay in that pass-catching role. Justin Jackson, in my opinion, is somebody who could get a huge bump in volume if Melvin does not report, if he sits out for the year. He would actually be the guy. He's cheaper on draft day, doesn't quite have the PPR upside, but he could get the volume to solidify himself as a low-end running back, too, if there is no Melvin Gordon. Justin Jackson is who I would be targeting if Melvin sits. See Leonard Fournette, Derrick Henry come off the board. Brandon Cooks, another wide receiver I love, followed by Stephon Diggs. Both guys, absolutely love it. And then the fourth round value, absolutely 100% sign me up. Josh Jacobs, I get a lot of hate for Josh Jacobs because I'm really not a Josh Jacobs truther. I think the kid has a lot of talent. I just don't know if I'm willing to pay for it yet with some of the other names that are on the board. I mean, it's a below average offensive line. It's a below average defense. Are they going to be relying on the passing game a lot? I mean, they brought in Antonio Brown. Now, if Antonio Brown has to miss time because of this foot injury, then all of a sudden Josh Jacobs becomes a little bit more intriguing, in my opinion. Something else we have to watch for. Julian Edelman, Robert Woods, all these solid wide receivers you see in the fourth. I don't hate any of them. David Montgomery, mid-fourth. I like Montgomery. I think it's a little high price because, he worries me a little bit. He isn't going to go into a great situation, at least. At first, I was saying, hey, it kind of reminds me of the whole Royce Freeman hype last year where a lot of us were all excited, and then it turns out to be not so great. But David Montgomery has that three-down skill set. Tyler Lockett, big playability. Does he lose some of those big plays to DK Metcalf? Possibly. Chris Godwin, love him in that offense. I think they're going to have to throw a lot in Tampa Bay. I said it with Mike Evans. Chris Godwin could easily go out there. Would not surprise me to see him get over 1,000 yards and about 6 to 8 touchdowns. Mike Williams, another guy I don't think gets enough love, but he's getting it here all the way up into the fourth round. Mike Williams is somebody who could adopt a lot of targets. And I'll show you something here in our draft guide in a minute once I get past my pick on the clock. I don't want to be talking and miss it here, but there's a lot of vacated targets for him in LA, and that's definitely something that could really boost his value. James White is another guy. There's a ton of options for targets. We saw in the news here recently that Josh Gordon applied for reinstatement. Does that happen? We'll have to wait and see. Now, I'm on the clock here in just a second. Mark Ingram is who I would want, and he's there. A lot of people are like, why do you want Mark Ingram? Well, touches. You can't score points if you don't get touches, right? And he's going to one of the highest volume rushing teams in the league. They brought him in there to be their number one. He's going to be their goal line back. Yes, he's going to lose, carries at times to Lamar Jackson or Justice Hill out of the backfield, but I don't hate it. Next up, what do we got here? We got a little DJ Moore, Calvin Ridley looking for a wide receiver. AJ Green is there. I'm worried about AJ Green. So what am I going to do? I'm going to go with Calvin Ridley. I think Calvin Ridley in the fifth is a good value. He's another one of these guys. I mean, I think everybody's dealing with hamstring injuries right now, but he's definitely somebody who, in my opinion, has that upside to maybe even get top-end, high-end wide receiver 2 numbers. I mean, we know they're going to throw the ball a lot in Atlanta, but a lot of that defensive attention is going to go towards Julio Jones. And if Devontae Freeman in the backfield can get going, this is definitely something where Calvin Ridley could put up some huge, huge numbers. Now, I talked about vacated targets earlier, and I'm going to take you over to our draft guide. And that's the dynamic running back rating. If you haven't checked out our draft guide, make sure you go in the link below. I mean, there's tons of information here, and we have it all broken down, $19.99, to help you dominate fantasy football. And I'm looking for vacated targets. That's where we're going. So let's pull up the vacated targets. And this is what we're talking about. First, it was for the Chargers. 110 vacated Chargers targets. That was 21.7% of the team passing volume. We talked about James White with the New England Patriots. There's 160 vacated targets for him. 28% of the volume in New England. There's a lot of possibility. This is what we're looking for, is the guys who have that upside, have that chance to really make a difference. I mean, there's some teams that there were some big target numbers to fill. And that's something that's a very important and I think underlooked stat a lot. Because, I mean, if they're not going to get the opportunity, the chances of them really performing for your team dwindles. You know what I mean? So I'm not overly, against looking at vacated targets. Not at all. Let's see here. What do we got coming up? O.J. Howard off the board in the 5th. Phillip Lindsay, DJ Moore. I like DJ Moore. I get a lot of hate for DJ Moore too because I'm not a huge truther, but it's not because I don't like DJ Moore. It's that I don't trust the shoulder of Cam Newton. That is my problem. Let's see. We got Aaron Rodgers coming off. And now it's probably when we're going to kind of go on a run for wide receiver. This is where I like to hit my wide receivers pretty heavy. I mean, as you can tell, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there already saying, man, why is Calvin Ridley your number 1 wide receiver? Well, that's going to be what happens in a best ball league if you take a quarterback early. You're going to have to sacrifice it somewhere. That's where it happened, was wide receiver. But I still got Zach Ertz, Patrick Mahomes, Christian McCaffrey, and those receptions from McCaffrey are really going to help. Mark Ingram is going to help get the volume. And now we can really start focusing on some pass catchers. And there's some guys coming up that I absolutely love here in best ball, especially when you're looking for that safety aspect plus the big play upside. There's a few of them coming. Let's hopefully some of them, hang on here for us. Evan Ingram coming off the clock in the 10th spot of the 5th round. Evan Ingram, somebody who Kyle is really, really high on, thinks that the offense could really the passing offense anyway, could really run through Evan Ingram for the first few weeks of the season. They don't have a whole lot of other choices. See A.J. Green falling at the end of the 5th, too. The struggle is real for A.J. Green owners. They're a little bit worried about him. Does he come back right away? Does he miss 4 to 6 weeks? I mean, it's all going to really depend, but A.J. Green has had issues in the past. Honestly, I'm really not that interested. I think in the 5th round, it's great value. It's a lot less risk. Am I totally against it in the 5th? Probably not. I mean, that is really good value, but I just don't want to have to rely on starting him each week. Cooper Kupp at the end of the 5th. I'm worried about Cooper Kupp coming off a torn ACL. The dude just did it in November of last season. Hasn't even had a year to recover yet. I've detailed this in a lot of other videos. A lot of times, players coming off of ACL tears kind of struggle with hamstring weakness. And if that's the case, is he more susceptible to pulling a hamstring muscle? It's possible. Am I saying that I hope the guy gets hurt? No, absolutely not. But it's a possibility, and I'm not willing to really risk it with Kupp. I would much rather have Woods or Cooks at this point. Christian Kirk off the board. He was somebody that I was hoping to land, so he gone. No more Christian Kirk. We got a few more picks here, though, before it is our turn. Let's see, who do we have available as far as pass catchers go? Allen Robinson. I don't hate Allen Robinson this year. I think he has a bounce-back season. Another year with Mitch Trubisky, another year in that offense. He's looking great in camp. I don't hate Allen Robinson. Another guy that's put up big numbers in the past. Robbie Anderson, another guy that looks great in camp. Really looks like he's starting to gel with Sam Darnold. Alshon Jeffrey, absolutely no thank you. Not interested in the least. Too many other targets there in Philadelphia. Dante Pettis. I mean, the talent is definitely there, but the problem is he's going to have to share it with a lot of other young wide receivers. Does he really get the opportunity? That's going to be the problem. Jarvis Landry came off the board. Jarvis Landry is somebody who I am really, really trying to get a lot of here in the 5th, 6th round. Hopefully the 6th. A lot of people are hopping off that saying, man, Odell's just going to take all the targets away. Well, Odell's also going to take a lot of the defensive attention away. What does that mean for Jarvis Landry? A whole lot of one-on-one coverage. And you think about it, in the past, he's really not had, a solid wide receiver 2 on the opposite side of him. I mean, he's always had to be the guy that the defense focused on in the passing game. Now, he does not have to worry about it. Lamar Miller, that's something in the news, right? Donta Foreman was waived. He was cut. No longer a part of the Houston Texans. Lamar Miller is the man now in Houston. Get him in the 6th. Huge value. Penny, you'll also have some work there in Seattle. Another one of those heavy run teams. Now you see Eckler going in the 6th. To me, way too early. No way am I taking Austin Eckler in the 6th. Yes, I understand the possibility, but I'm not risking it. Like I said, I'll wait. I'll wait for Justin Jackson at the end. Hunter Henry coming off. Andrew Luck. A little worried about Andrew Luck, his calf injury. If that's something that lingers, if that's something where he's still sitting, come week 2, week 3 of the preseason, we need to start worrying just a little bit. So here we go. We're almost up on the clock. We need pass catchers, right? Who are some that are coming up? I mean, like I said, I still like Allen Robinson and Robbie Anderson. If both of those guys are there, and if Menace doesn't take him, which he does not, I'm going to take both of them. I think they both have big play potential in this offense. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to do it on my phone. There goes Allen Robinson. I'm drafting on my phone so you guys can see the actual screen. And I'm taking Robbie Anderson. So there we go. Now I got Allen Robinson, Robbie Anderson, and Calvin Ridley as my wide receivers. We'll go down here and take a look at the team. So far, Patrick Mahomes, Christian McCaffrey, Mark Ingram, Calvin Ridley, Allen Robinson, Robbie Anderson, and Zach Ertz. Don't hate it whatsoever. But now we can go back and start looking at some other positions. Because we have to start 3 wide receivers. So we're good there. We got our 3. We have to start 2 running backs. We got our 2. We need at least 1 quarterback and 1 tight end. We got each of them. So now we're going best player available. I mean, this is the time where we're like, you know what? Whoever falls to us with that huge upside, that's what we're going to go with. Marquez Valdes-Scantling going at 7-2. Man, I'm just not buying it yet. I still like Geronimo Allison more in that offense. I think Marquez Valdes-Scantling has the big playability, but as far as consistency goes on a weekly basis, I'd rather have Allison. Pettis coming off at 7-3. Did a workout video on Twitter the other day. He was doing work, making a 55-gallon trash can look silly. Excuse me. Come on, fellas. Let's hurry it up. It's 12 teams. I'm trying not to make a 55-minute video here. Baker Mayfield, the man Baker. We're going to start calling him the Bake Show over here. Dude's got a mustache now. Anybody with a mustache playing quarterback deserves to be drafted as early as possible. So love Baker Mayfield. No need to tell you guys about that. If you saw him at the Cleveland Indians game the other day, shotgunned a beer, bit into the can with his teeth. I mean, automatically gets a boost in ADP just because of that. Latavius Murray coming off 7-5. I think Murray really kind of adopts the Ingram role in New Orleans. I think he comes in there, steals series, steals carries. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. No, he's not going to take away Alvin Kamara's work, but he can have an opportunity there in that offense to add some goal line carries. I mean, Mark Ingram was a top 10 running back for fantasy football. 2 out of the last 3 years? I mean, it's possible. There goes Geronimo Allison in the 7th. Not much later than Marquez Valdes-Scantling. But like I said, Allison has that chemistry with Aaron Rodgers. He was really looking for him last year. He was by far the closest, in targets behind Devontae Adams until he got hurt early in the season last year. Vance McDonald coming off. Love Vance McDonald. Great upside this year. Darrell Henderson at 7-8. He's going to start falling a little bit more. I think if people see Gurley in camp, some of these scared people out there are going to start dropping back on Henderson a little bit. The talent is there. I do think he sees workload. But is it enough to take him in the 7th? You're kind of banking. You're really, really banking on an injury to Todd Gurley. That worries me. Jared Cook, hopefully they can reinvent the tight end position in New Orleans. They haven't had one since Jimmy Graham was first drafted there, basically. Love Matt Ryan, end of the 7th. 13 games indoors. Back with offensive coordinator Dirk Cutter. Lots of weapons at his disposal. Matt Ryan is solid. Drew Brees, I'm worried about Drew Brees. I think he has a great year. Don't get me wrong. What I'm worried about, though, is when they get those big first half leads. We kind of saw it at times last year. They kind of took their foot off the gas in the second half, and Brees kind of struggled at times fantasy point-wise. You know, he didn't get you much of those garbage points because in the majority of the games they were winning at the end and just running the football. I think there's some better value a little bit later than Drew Brees. Love Drew Brees. Just not somebody I would take here end of 7th. Few names coming up. Sammy Watkins, now that he's back being the number 2 behind Tyreek Hill. He's fallen in drafts. I mean, heck, I think I saw him going all the way up in the 4th. You know, a few weeks back when we thought Tyreek was going to get suspended. Jordan Howard is somebody who's screaming up ADP charts because word's coming out that he's looking great in camp. But you know what? So is Miles Sanders. And I just don't trust that offense, that play calling to really give a full workload to anybody in that offense, not just Jordan Howard or Miles Sanders. That could be a problem. Marvin Jones, love Marvin Jones. A lot of people forget about him. Dude had like 5 touchdowns through 9 games last year, and everybody just wants to give everything to Kenny Golladay. Marvin Jones is a legit option in Detroit. Will Fuller can't stay healthy. I mean, have you ever done an experiment? Maybe you did in school. Maybe, heck, you found one outside. What happens when you put a rubber band outside in the sun? You know how it gets like old and brittle and crackly? That's basically what's, made up on the inside of Will Fuller. It's just something's bound to pop at some point. He just can't stay healthy. Speaking of not staying healthy, Carson Wentz coming right off the board after him. I mean, this guy is a legit top 5 quarterback in the league if he can stay healthy also. If he goes down, though, the Eagles are in some serious trouble. Love Larry Fitzgerald, 8-5. Could he have a comeback season, the last season of his career? Guy's had a great, great career. Now he gets Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray does not look bad in camp either. In fact, Kyler Murray is somebody that I wouldn't mind drafting if he's there, especially in a best ball league with that rushing upside. So that's something we'll have to take a look at when we get a little bit closer to our pick. Like I said, if you guys haven't tried this before, make sure you go get yourself a draft account. Well, all I did was just send down an invite, and the draft room filled up in minutes. I sent it out to everybody who follows me. I follow you back, and you never know. We could be having a season-long league here against each other. Plus, like I said, I'll give you $10 off of our draft guide if you sign up for a new draft account. There goes Kyler Murray, so that's not going to happen. End of the 8th, followed by Eric Ebron. Ebron, I think, is still a top 10 tight end, but I don't think he's that high-end pick anymore. I think Jack Doyle is going to steal a lot of that upside. So looking at what we have coming up here, what do we have? Darius Geist, Sterling Shepard, Kiki QT, Dede Westbrook, Cortland Sutton, Deshaun Jackson, Cam Newton. Say no to Rojo. Not going to happen. There's not a whole lot sitting right there. I think Darius Geist has a lot of upside. He's definitely somebody who, if given the opportunity, if he can stay healthy, is somebody who could put up some big numbers. Deshaun Jackson is another one. I'm just going to go ahead and for right now, I'm going to get me Darius Geist. And because I'm right back on the clock, let's go down here. We already got one quarterback, but let's go ahead and get ourselves a second one. I'm going to get a Jared Goff. Jared Goff is somebody who, in best ball, remember people, it's best ball. Don't be blowing me up in the comment section. Think about this offense, okay? If something is not right with Todd Gurley, and he is not 100%, and how do we just know that Darrell Henderson's going to come out and produce? We really don't. We're kind of just, winging it and hoping for it. But if he struggles, they're going to rely a lot on the passing game. Jared Goff had some huge games last year. And, look at the game he played against the Chiefs. It was just throwing all over the place. We know he has Brandon Cooks. He has Robert Woods. He'll have Cooper Kupp. He may not be 100%. But the potential for upside in a passing game in an offense led by Sean McVay, Goff has taken a step forward, every year with McVay. I'm looking for big things again and in best ball. Think about that. I already have Patrick Mahomes and now Jared Goff. I already have 3 running backs, 3 wide receivers, a tight end. The team is very solid as is right now. Now I'm just trying to find that huge upside. I'm going Jared Goff there. I like Jared Goff a lot this year. Somebody like a Russell Wilson, he's maybe safer. he may get you that, that baseline. He's solid 18, 20 points a week. It is what it is, but he doesn't have that huge upside that maybe a Jared Goff has. I mean, would it surprise anybody if Jared Goff went out and threw 400 yards and 4 touchdowns in the game? Probably not. Russell Wilson goes out and throws 400 yards and 4 touchdowns. Everybody's going to be talking about it. So definitely love some Jared Goff. See, Russell Wilson, Jameis Winston. I don't hate Jameis. Like I said, they're going to have to throw it a lot this year. But I would rather have the higher end option in Goff personally. But yeah, we'll have to see. Another tight end is somebody I need to see. You guys got to remember too, best ball, there's no waiver wire, there's no trades. If your player gets hurt, you're stuck. I mean, if you only had one tight end, if you only draft one tight end and he gets hurt week 1, your entire season you have no tight ends. So that's something that we'll be looking at here coming back around. But that goes for everybody, right? You want to make sure you have depth all over the place. There's a few guys coming up that I really like. I already talked about Jack Doyle. Austin Hooper is another name that I'm probably a little bit higher on than a lot of other people. We already talked about Matt Ryan playing 13 games indoors, a lot of offense to go around there in Atlanta. And Austin Hooper is another one of these guys that, does he have the huge upside like a Travis Kelce, Zach Ertz? No, he doesn't. But he has that consistency, and if something happens to Zach Ertz or it's a bye week, he's going to be a solid option to fill in. That's something you'll have to wait and see if he falls to me. Mark Andrews has been looking great in camp. I'm kind of worried about that passing offense in Baltimore. How much work does he actually see? How many targets does he get? That's going to be a question. But he's looked great in camp so far. Sterling Shepard coming off. I think his ADP is going to start falling, but I wouldn't let it fall too much. I mean, if you can get him here around the 8th, 9th, 10th round, the guy's not going to miss very much time, if any, during the season. Austin Hooper coming off, so that's something we're not going to be able to get. Dante Moncrief had a dislocated finger, but think about it. Think about the possible upside with Dante Moncrief. What if he just misses a couple weeks? Maybe he doesn't miss any time at all. Dante Moncrief as the legitimate number 2 wide receiver in Pittsburgh, I can think of a few guys in that offense that have really thrived as the number 2 in Pittsburgh, one of them being the current number 1 now, Juju. If he's going to command so much defensive attention, Dante Moncrief, I mean, he may feel like he's 35 years old, feels like he's been in the league forever, but the dude's only 25 years old. And yes, his finger dislocated the other day, looked like, something out of a game of Tetris, but he's going to be okay. He's going to be good. Obviously, I'm not interested in Peyton Barber. Donta Foreman doesn't even have a team as of right this second, so not going with Foreman. James Washington, he's actually the number 3 right now. Omega Man, you took Ronald Jones. I hate to break it to you. I mean, I appreciate you following me and hopping in here, but you took Ronald Jones. Therefore, your season is over because you took Ronald Jones. D.D. Westbrook, nice potential, maybe the only option that I would take out of Jacksonville's wide receiver group right now. Let's see, what else do we have? DK Metcalf has some big play potential. Love Anthony Miller, but I already have Allen Robinson. Golden Tate's going to miss at least 4 games. Here comes Justin Jackson in a couple rounds. I may jump on Justin Jackson in what I get, the 11th round pick. We'll have to see. Paris Campbell I like. He's dealing with a small injury. Hopefully he can recover from that. There's a lot of good options. Dallas Goedert is another name that's down there. I mean, heck, I have Zach Ertz right now. Do I kind of handcuff him in best ball? Maybe. Do I handcuff my tight end and if one goes down? The problem with that is I don't have one on a bye week. So that's something else you got to think of. If I do that, then I got to take 3 tight ends. So we'll have to see how it plays out. Dante Moncrief right now I think is a huge steal if I can get him at the end of the 10th. Yes, he's banged up right now. It's because of his finger, but he's going to be okay. If you haven't seen the injury to Dante Moncrief, go check it out. I mean, the finger was like this. It was like, it's not supposed to be like that. I mean, it was like, yeah, it was ugly. But whatever. It happens. That's what happens when you try to catch a football the wrong way at times. But he's definitely somebody that I would rather have at this point than James Washington. Damian Harris coming off. Like Damian Harris, I think if Sony Michel can't stay healthy, it's the Damian Harris show. Dak Prescott. We love Dak Prescott over here. Nobody loves Dak Prescott, but you know who loves Dak Prescott? The fantasy headliners, me and Kyle. We love Dak Prescott. Kyle just did a must-have video, and he had Dak Prescott on it, and everybody's throwing a big hissy fit. Listen, he's the only quarterback in the NFL. The only quarterback in the NFL to outperform his ADP for 3 straight years, and yet people still hate on Dak Prescott. Lamar Jackson, I don't think the passing numbers are there, and I think he loses some of the rushing numbers to Mark Ingram this year. I don't think they want him to run as much because they don't want to risk injury. So I'm a little bit lower on Lamar Jackson than a lot of people. See James Washington come off. Anthony Miller, I absolutely love him, but I already have Allen Robinson. There goes Dante Moncrief. Mega Pats has no craps given for me. He's just going to take who I want. So let's see who we got. What's we got up in here? Hashtag never funchous. Justin Jackson. I may get Jackson here on the turn. Not too overly excited about that. I think DK Metcalf, we're looking for that big playability, right? Let's see what we got. Not a whole lot of options at the tight end position. Yeah, let's go back. We're going to gamble a little bit. We're going DK Metcalf. Big playabilities, right? That's what we're looking for here. And now we're going to be a little bit bold because we don't know for sure. And we go on Justin Jackson. Because he is the guy who I believe takes over the bulk of the carries for Melvin Gordon. And if Melvin sits, we get ourselves a mid to high end running back 2 in the 11th round. Taking it. It's a gamble, but it's best ball. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, there's only, so many players out there that really have that huge ceiling. There's a reason why they're being drafted in the 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th round. Those big, huge games may be a little bit further and farther between, but that doesn't mean that, you can't, try to hit some of these hidden gems at some point. Jimmy Graham coming off, no thanks. I'll pass on Jimmy Graham. Aaron Rodgers has used a tight end like once in his career, and it was like 2007. No thank you. No thank you. There's some names coming up here. If they fall to us in the next round for some more wide receivers, we got to start 3 of them. So I'd like to have a few more wide receivers. I do need that other tight end, but at this point, I'm just hanging on, and I'll take Jack motherfucking Doyle. Don't even tempt me, people. You know what it is. If I got a chance at Jack motherfucking Doyle, I'm going to take Jack motherfucking Doyle. There ain't nothing nobody can do about it except take him before me. Golden Tate in the 11th. Great value. You'll have him back week 5. Somebody just took Donta Foreman in the 11th. I think he's going to land with another team. I mean, he's going to be on a team somewhere, but is he going to be on a team to where he gets automatic right off the bat carries? Probably not. I mean, we saw a lot of videos of him in the offseason working out, and he looked great. And he looked like he was in a lot better shape than a lot of people had expected coming off of a torn Achilles. But then words start coming out of the camp that he just didn't, care a whole lot about conditioning and stuff. I mean, it was just weird. I mean, it kind of came out of nowhere. It surprised a lot of people when he got cut. Kareem Hunt in the 11th. I'm not buying it. Not buying it. Give me Chubb all season long. I mean, let's be realistic. You think Chubb goes out there, and if he can perform at a very high level, you guys just assume that Kareem Hunt's going to come in there his first week, reinstated, and just take the bulk of the work? No, it's not going to happen. It's not. Sorry. I mean, yeah, he's going to get some work. He may get a few carries or a few series here or there, but it wouldn't surprise me one bit if they don't just use him as trade bait. I mean, heck, what if he's nearing the end of his suspension? Chubb is absolutely killing it, and they can trade him for a first-round pick. It wouldn't surprise me one bit. Carlos Hyde. Worried a little bit about Carlos Hyde. I think he was the heir apparent to Damian Williams, but now you're starting to hear things about some of the other backs in that backfield, and Carlos Hyde may not be as sexy as he was a few weeks ago. Ito Smith, no thanks. I mean, he hasn't done a whole lot of anything. LaShawn McCoy, he's interesting. LaShawn McCoy with the Buffalo Bills, I think I'm not too interested in. If they trade him at some point to a contender, he still has a little bit left in the tank, and I think he'd be out there to prove a point. I don't hate LaShawn McCoy. I just wouldn't want to have to start him on a weekly basis, but getting him here end of the 11th, not a bad pick at all. Kalen Ballage, a lot of people believing that he's going to be the number 1 in Miami. If you think that, put down whatever it is you're drinking, because it's not going to be him. He's going to have, an opportunity, but he's not going to go out there and get you 15, 20 touches a game. Kenyon Drake is a much better back. He'll get the bulk of the work. He may not be out there the first play of the first quarter, and if that's what you want to say, that Kalen Ballage is the starter, cool. Kenyon Drake's going to get more work in that offense, though. It's not a great defense. They're going to be throwing a lot. Insert Kenyon Drake. Thank you very much. Big Ben in the 11th. Don't hate Big Ben. I think if you're expecting the same numbers out of Big Ben that you've seen in the past, though, temper expectations slightly. I think he finished, fantasy quarterback 3 last season? I mean, losing Antonio Brown, losing Le'Veon Bell, it's a lot to lose. Not to say that I don't expect big things from who's replacing them, because I think anybody that you put in that offense has that ability to put up big numbers, but yeah, I'm not going to go out there and just assume a 5,000-yard season for Big Ben. Mecole Hardman, he's had some great days at camp. I don't think that he sees enough volume consistently, but in a best ball league, he has that huge big play potential, so I don't hate it. I mean, I think obviously he's probably the number 3 at this point. Adrian Peterson at the 12-1. Not sexy, not flashy, not fast, but he could go out there and having one of those games like we saw last season. He may go out and get you 50 yards, but may get 2 goal line carries and 2 touchdowns. That could win you a week right there. I think Darius Geis is the more explosive runner in that backfield, though. That's what we're looking for, the big plays. The big plays. Bobby GNF's pick here is kind of worrying me. I mean, it looks like a dude with a big, huge golden cross over his hairy chest. That's awkward. Maybe that's just used to throw off your opponents. Trey Burton in the 12th. All we can do is sit here and wait for our boy Jack motherfucking Doyle. Don't be hating on Jack Doyle. The guy's going to be a PPR guy. He's going to be a PPR machine. Michael Gallop is another name that I do like a lot. I want to see who falls. Paris Campbell showing out in camp, going at the 12-3. He's got a legit chance to be the number 2 option, number 2 wide receiver option, coming out of the slot there for the Colts. I mean, he looks great, but what about the health of Andrew Luck? Does that worry anybody at all? Worries me a little bit. Phillip Rivers, Mr. Consistency, going at the 12-4. You know what he's going to do every year. He's going to throw the football. It's kind of what he does. Come on, Booger. Take Funchess. Take Never Funchess. I don't want to see his name on top of the board anymore. Not that I'm tempted to take him, because the hashtag will remain this year with Never Funchess. Look at that. Hey, listen. Thanks, Booger. Taking Devin Funchess. Taking old Funchy. If you've hung out this long into the 12th round, hey, I appreciate that. You're really helping me out on YouTube. Hit that like button. Those likes definitely help us out here on YouTube. Once again, if you are new to Draft, if this is the first time you've seen Draft, if you're just curious about Draft, go over to draft.com, download the app on your phone, sign up for a new account. It's quick, it's easy, it's simple. Make a $10 deposit. They're going to then turn around and give you $3. Draft is going to give you a $3 credit. And then I will turn around and give you $10 off of our draft guide. All you have to do is send me an email to thefantasyheadliners@gmail.com with your new draft username, and using our promo code headliners, HEADLINERS, and I'll hook you up with $10 off our draft guide. Definitely something that could help you dominate here in 2019. All right, so here we go. We're getting close. Michael Gallup sitting there. I like Michael Gallup. John Brown is a name that's sitting there. Definitely intriguing. There's a few names out there that I like that have some potential. John Brown going off the clock, obviously, because I said his name. So let's go with my option 2, which is Jack Doyle. Told you I was going to do it. Man of my word, I did it. And now for the second, let's see if we can find ourselves another wide receiver. Michael Gallup and Emmanuel Sanders are the 2 that I'm looking at. Emmanuel Sanders has looked great in camp, and Michael Gallup still the number 2 behind Amari Cooper. If Zeke does sit because he's retarded, then I'm a little bit worried that maybe the passing offense struggles a little bit. So I'm going to take a gamble on Emmanuel Sanders. The clear number 1, I'm going to say it. A lot of people think it's Courtland Sutton. Courtland Sutton may be the better big play player, but Emmanuel Sanders could be the one that gets the volume in that offense. Love it. Kenny Stills going right after him is another great pick. I was hoping he'd fall another round, but obviously he did not. So we'll see what happens. We're getting close here to the end. Going into the 13th, it's an 18-round draft. Really appreciate you guys digging through. If there's a player that I didn't talk a whole lot about that maybe you're looking for more information on, just ask. That's what the comment section is for. Put it down below in the comment section. We like to be the most interactive channel on YouTube, so throw it down there. Would love to talk to you about whatever players you got questions about. All of these players that you see here, almost every one of them that have come off the board through 13 rounds, we have written player profiles up in our draft guide. We have over 300 player profiles written for our draft guide. A lot of people just expect answers in a draft guide. And let me just say this real quick. Anybody out there just telling you what to do, this is what you need to do. This is who you need to draft. This is who it is. Be wary a little bit about that, especially if they don't have the reasoning to back it up. Always demand that reason behind a take. If somebody wants to give you a take and not give you their thinking or their reasoning behind it, I mean, it's just an opinion, probably. I mean, is anybody going to be 100% right? No. None of us are going to be 100% right. But as long as we give that backup, that reasoning as to why we pick a player or we like a player, that kind of just helps build credibility, because then you guys go into your draft saying, all right, well, this is the reason why. I may not agree with that, and that's fine. That's what we're trying to do, is to figure this stuff all out ahead of the draft time. I'm not going to sit up here and say, hey, I'm the biggest expert out there. You guys need to listen to me. We don't even call ourselves expert. There's no such thing as an expert in fantasy football. I mean, unless they can see the future, there's no such thing as an expert. We're analysts. That's what it is. So trying to help everybody out. And our draft guide, more than anything, is going to help you be familiar with the players that are out there. We want to make those decisions easier for you to make. It's your team. It's not our team. We're not picking it for you. We need to make sure that we give you all the information you need, though, to make the right selections on draft day, because everybody wants to win some championships here in 2019. All right, what do we got? Come on. Come on, Bobby. You and your gold chain. Hurry up. Do it. Pick a name. Whoever you want. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Oh, what do you got? You going timeout, Bobby. Come on. Timeout and get Nyheim Hines, who I don't mind Nyheim Hines, especially at this point. I think he's still part of that offense. I think that they'll rely on the passing game a little bit there with him. Greg Olson, one-hit wonder, or one-year wonder left. I mean, not really a one-hit wonder, right? He's had a pretty decent career, but more than likely his last season. Alexander Madison, I love. A little Dalvin Cook insurance, even though I don't have Dalvin. If he does go down, I have myself another running back too sitting there on my bench. Deshaun Hamilton, I already have Emmanuel Sanders. Marquise Goodwin is another big play guy who could have some big games. I don't mind him. Marquise Brown, big play player. Not completely sold on Lamar Miller and finding him consistently enough. Love some Bob Foster. But I think, Cole Beasley and John Brown eat into his potential upside. David Moore had some upside for Seattle, but I think DK Metcalf hurts that. Zay Jones is criminally underrated, but there's just so many options there in that offense. There's Darwin Thompson, who we talked about earlier. Trey Quinn is another guy, but he's more of a safety blanket, not so much of a big play guy. So there's not a whole lot of huge big play guys left. This is where we're going to have to try to, catch lightning in a bottle here. Let's see what we can find up. Let's see what kind of opportunities we have when it comes to us. You see Chris Herndon coming off. He's going to miss the first 4 weeks of the season. TJ Hawkinson, another tight end. I'm not off TJ Hawkinson, but there was another tight end who played in Detroit. Let's see, who was it? He was a first-round pick, and he just never panned. Oh, it was Eric Ebron. Not to say that TJ Hawkinson is Eric Ebron, but they haven't exactly utilized tight ends in that team for a long time, and I'm a little bit worried about TJ Hawkinson, that they hold him back and have him block more than they have him go out on routes just so they can protect Matthew Stafford. It's kind of one of my concerns with him. Right now, if Alexander Madison falls, that's who my pick is going to be. Love that potential there with, you never know. I think Dalvin Cook's going to have a great year, but if he goes down, Alexander Madison is looking like a beast in camp right now. A total beast. So my two targets here, Alexander Madison and Marquise Goodwin are who I'm going to be going after here if they fall to me. Back-to-back there in the 14th and 15th. Madison with the upside of a potential RB2. Marquise Goodwin, world-class speed, can beat the defense. And if the defense is paying attention to the Deebo Samuels and Dante Pettis's and Jalen Hurds and George Kittle's and 64 running backs, Marquise Goodwin may be able to get them behind the defense there a time or two and help me win a week here and there. I'm all for it. So as long as Menace to Fantasy here doesn't take my boy, which he does not, perfect. We're going to go with Alexander Madison first. And then we're backing that thing right up with Marquise Goodwin. That'll get us through the 15th. A lot of names on here that have great upside for redraft leagues. Best ball, we're kind of scraping the bottom of the barrel. I mean, this is all hit and miss at this point for the most part. Redraft, still a lot of talent that's left out there on the board. Who's somebody that you guys are really focusing on? Let's say mid to late rounds, best ball drafts. What's one name that you're really trying to get? Is there somebody out there in particular? I hear the name Kenny Stills a lot. I get it with Fitzmagic there in Miami. I mean, we know he likes to throw the football. Is he somebody that could benefit from it? Kenny Stills, best ball? Yeah, I think it is. John Brown's another one that I hear a lot of, that a lot of people are hoping that they can get because of the big arm of Josh Allen. And I mean, could he hook up on a few deep balls with John Brown? Entirely possible. Let's see what we got. Greg Olson coming off. I still think Olson has a solid year. Not the same Greg Olson that we're used to seeing in years past, but the guy is like 61 years old-ish. Come on, make a pick. You can do it. Mega Pat's out there looking for a Patriots player to pick. Go take Josh Gordon if he hasn't taken it yet. Jamal Williams. Not a bad pick, especially with Aaron Jones kind of banged up right now. Let's see. We got Josh Gordon did apply for reinstatement. Whether he gets it or not, we'll have to wait and see. Antonio Callaway. As of right now, it sounds like Rashard Higgins may be the number 3 in Cleveland. If that's the case, Callaway loses a lot of possible upside. Taylor Gabriel, he won't see enough work. Darwin Thompson, love Darwin Thompson. He's kind of a hybrid back dude, is absolutely jacked. Let's see, Fitzmagic, Edwards, Witten. Witten, the only guy older than Greg Olson. Yeah, it's looking pretty thin as we get down in here. Not a whole lot of names that are just going to jump out at you and, you know, really be somebody that you really want. Devontae Parker, we like to refer to him as Bigfoot because there's only sightings of him. You only see him every once in a while. Let's see. Before we go any farther, let's go down. We'll take a look at the team. Mahomes, McCaffrey, Ingram, Ridley, Robinson, Anderson, Ertz, Geis, Goff, Metcalf, Jackson, Doyle, Sanders, Madison, Goodwin. Some serious upside there. I don't hate it. I wish I had a solid stud wide receiver, but it's kind of what happens if you take a tight end early. You kind of miss out on that because I'm not going to pass on those early running backs, those studs that are there. I can't do it. I got to have at least one, especially when I picked number 1 overall. I can't pass on a running back there. So you do whatever is dealt to you. A lot of people say, what positions do you take in what rounds? Don't lock yourself into a position in any round. It's just not worth it. Take the best player that falls to you at a position of need. That's what I tell everybody. I mean, make sure you need the position. Don't take a second quarterback if you already have one, if it's the 5th round, just because he's the best player available. I mean, that doesn't make any sense. So right now we got 2 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 6 wide receivers, and 2 tight ends. And we got, 3 picks left. I may try to even it out a little bit, maybe go 1 quarterback, 1 running back, 1 tight end. We'll see what happens, just to make sure we have enough depth everywhere. I'm not going to reach for somebody if I don't like their potential. Deebo, I don't mind Deebo Samuel. Problem is I already got Marquise Goodwin, so I really don't want both of them. Darren Waller, he's the potential tight end one for the Oakland Raiders. Not a bad choice there. Mike Gesicki could be a name that we see. I mean, with Fitzpatrick under center in Miami, we saw that he kind of targeted O.J. Howard last year in Detroit. Could Mike Gesicki be that guy this year? It's entirely possible. He'd be my third option. Not horrible. Ted Ginn, another big play wide receiver. Matt Lacoste, is he the week 1 starter at tight end for the Patriots? Possibly. Ian Thomas. I mean, Alfred Morris is down here. Does Alfred Morris take over if Zeke does not? Is that another one of these plays that we kind of want to make, a run at? We already have a couple running backs on our roster that we're waiting for something to happen with. Do we really want another one? That's kind of a question you need to ask yourself, but let's see. Let's go way down the list here. There's Rashard Higgins. I don't hate Rashard Higgins at all. Darrell Williams, he's getting some of the first team snaps with Damian Williams out. Like I said, there's a lot of options here for redraft leagues, but for best ball, you're kind of just crossing your fingers. So we'll go back up here. We'll go back up and just see what happens. Darren Waller, maybe somebody I look at. Waller or Gesicki is one of them. After that, the next big play guy that I see, I may gamble a little bit on Darwin Thompson. I think Darwin Thompson in that Kansas City offense finds some type of a role. So we'll see how it falls. See Jamison Crowder, Josh Gordon, Ted Ginn. There goes Waller. So Waller is not a part of the plan. Trey Quinn. I think Trey Quinn is going to be like Julian Edelman's diet version in Washington. I think that he's going to see a lot of options, but have you seen some of their other young wide receivers there in camp? I mean, Kelvin Harmon, McLaren, I mean, they're all looking great right now. They are looking a lot better than a lot of people had imagined, especially with Dwayne Haskins under center. They could actually throw the ball in Washington this year. And if that's the case, it'll open up the running game for Darius Geis and Adrian Peterson. There goes Humphreys. I don't think Humphreys sees the volume like he saw in Tampa Bay. I think people are a little bit disappointed with Humphreys in Tennessee. Malcolm Brown in L.A., hoping that something happens to Todd Gurley. Right now, Mike Gesicki, probably the top tight end that I would choose from right now. So we got Gesicki and, let's see, we got Gesicki and Darwin Thompson are the two that I have planned for right here to give us a nice rounded out roster. Johnny 9093 is just going to let the clock expire so he can take Tyler Eifert. Always do your best to plan ahead in the draft to try not to let the clock always run out. I mean, obviously, you have as much time as you need there until the timer expires, but if you're ready to go, you know who you want, you can make the draft go so much faster. So Mike Gesicki, I'm going to take, and Darwin Thompson. Both of them coming to team headliners. So that now gives us 3 tight ends done there, 6 wide receivers, 6 running backs, and 2 quarterbacks. Depending on what quarterbacks are left, I would go maybe quarterback, maybe. But I mean, I already have 2 guys that I really like. More than likely, I'm probably going to go for another wide receiver if there's still another one there. Let's see here. Just taking a look at the bye weeks, and they all look fine. Goff and Mahomes, different bye weeks 12 and 9. Got 3 running backs with separate bye weeks. I mean, yeah, we're set up good here. No worries about bye weeks at all. So don't have to worry about looking at depth that way. We can just go with the best player available for our last pick in the draft. Zay Jones may be one of those options. I like Zay Jones. He really turned it on the end of 2018. Hopefully he gets a great chance here in 2019 and he doesn't lose everything to John Brown. That's my hope anyway. But I don't call the plays in Buffalo. I would like to. If anybody out there is listening and think that I could do a good job, put in a good word for me. I'll call some plays. I played Madden. I could call an offense. They may not understand it, but I would call some banging plays. Let's go, getting in there, hurrying it up. Getting to the end of the 17th, you see C.J. Anderson, David Moore, Gus Edwards, Deebo Samuel. A bunch of people trying to hopefully snag a lottery ticket here at the end of a draft. Jalen Richard, not a bad option. I mean, I think Josh Jacobs more of a 3-down option, but how much do they really run the ball? That's the question. Benny Snell is an interesting pick. A lot of people are expecting Benny Snell to have some type of a goal line workload. Maybe if it's really late in games and Pittsburgh's up, then they can rest James Conner for Benny Snell. But if they're in a game, if the game is close, I don't see Benny Snell getting a whole lot. Not right away, anyway. In the future, yes, possibly. Absolutely. That is definitely a possibility. There goes Matt Lacoste, hoping that he's the starting tight end for the Patriots week 1. Callaway, Gabriel, Zay Jones, John Ross. I mean, John Ross, all he does is catch touchdown passes. The problem is he only has like 3 catches a year. But he's got another one of those big playability guys. Otherwise, we're getting way deep, way fast. Not a whole lot of big players down there. That Terry McLaurin out of Washington's down. He's got some potential being paired up with his college teammate there of Dwayne Haskins. Darius Slayton. Maybe Darius Slayton is kind of somebody that we should pay a little bit more attention to. I mean, who else is going to catch the football for the Giants the first few weeks? We know there's no Golden Tate. Shepard's banged up. We know Odell Beckham's not in town anymore. Darius Slayton? Maybe we're going to take a chance on old Darius Slayton. He's way down the list here. A lot of people probably don't have a whole lot of shares of Darius Slayton, but he's definitely somebody who could, put up some volume at least for a few weeks. I mean, this is a young kid with a lot of talent. We didn't expect him to have the opportunity at all, but he did, and he's going to get it right off the bat. Can he do something with it? And if he does it give him a little bit more staying power for the season? Intriguing pick there. I think Taylor Gabriel is another one of those guys, but his opportunity, with Anthony Miller there and Allen Robinson, plus I already have Allen Robinson. Zay Jones, I do like Zay Jones a lot. He's probably a little bit more safe, in my opinion, for season long. I'm not too interested in John Ross. I mean, been there, done that before. But we'll see who falls to us here. We see Burkhead, Fitzpatrick, Amendola all coming off the clock. A few picks left until we're done here. A lot of timers expiring. Andy Dalton. I don't mind the red rifle this year. I mean, it'd be better if A.J. Green was 100% healthy, but it's A.J. Green. He's hardly ever healthy. Look at Booger. Booger out there gambling on some Rob Gronkowski. I've heard some rumors that he'd come back, but then I saw some pictures of him, and the dude is like 125 pounds, it looks like. He has been partying it up in the offseason, and he is way skinny. Way skinny. Like high school skinny. But you never know. You never know. Joe Flacco, Taylor Gabriel. Flacco, I think, will lose his job if they lose games in Denver. If they win, Flacco stays. If they lose, they'll push in Drew Lock, in my opinion. So let's see what we got. Who is left for us? Is it going to be Zay Jones? Is Zay Jones going to make it to us? Or are we going to gamble with a little Darius Slayton? I know Slayton will be there. Nobody going to take Darius Slayton. Unless they watched our Deep Sleeper video, then they may take Darius Slayton. But I don't think they're going to take anybody because the clock is expiring. Randall Cobb. Let's go. We're going to gamble on Darius Slayton as soon as this pick gets to me. And then I'm going to read you off my team and get you the heck out of here because it's been a long video. So that's the bad thing about the longer drafts, the 12-team drafts. Yeah, they take a little bit longer at the very end, especially right around that 15, 16, 17, 18 round. People start bowing out, letting the clock expire like Johnny just did. Johnny, you let the clock expire and you got Marcus Mariota. No, thank you. Menace taking his last pick here. And here we go, my pick, Darius Slayton. All right, so let's go take one last look at the team, see what we got, and then you guys let me know down in the comment section. All right, we got Patrick Mahomes, Christian McCaffrey, Mark Ingram, Calvin Ridley, Allen Robinson, Robbie Anderson, Zach Ertz, Darius Geis, Jared Goff, DK Metcalf, Justin Jackson, Jack Motherfucking Doyle, Emmanuel Sanders, Alexander Madison, Marquise Goodwin, Mike Gesicki, Darwin Thompson, and Darius Slayton. A lot of upside there. The bench is promising if there's some injuries that happen. But starting off with Mahomes, McCaffrey, Ertz, still some solid wide receivers. Mark Ingram in there to get close to 200 touches. I don't hate the team. Not at all. Number one pick is not my favorite pick to obviously be at, but let me know down in the comment section. What do you guys think? Is this a team that you would be happy with? Maybe there's a pick that you would have made differently at some point throughout the draft. By all means, throw it in there. This is the beauty of draft.com. It costs $1 to do this. And I have a chance to win a few bucks at the end of the year. We never know what's going to happen, but this really gives us a great gauge on ADP of where people are falling. So definitely hit me up down in the comment section. Greatly appreciate that support. If you made it all the way here to the end, make sure you hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button too if you're new here. Let me know down in the comment section. I would love to welcome you to Headliner Nation. Hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day. Talk to you later.